got to me. She said we should hook up the boyfriend and boogie. Don't know me, then look on. I'm being the clouds. Puff full of Henny, I drink and I drown.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another Harkey Fishing Report, and we are camping today. Camping down at Campbell Point, and wanted to give you guys some good information. I've got the chance to go out a couple times this week, and man, fishing's been pretty good. So I want to tell you a little bit about the crappie and a little bit about the bass. First off, a little bit about the lake level. They've got it back down to what they consider standard summer pool. We're sitting at just under 917, a 917 standard summer pool for this time of year. And as far as generation, they've really, shut back the generation at Table Rock. They're running about 3,000 CFM, cubic feet per minute, out of the dam. So that's almost nothing. They are bumping that up every afternoon, starting about 2 o'clock or so. They bump it up to cover those peak hot hours, because man, it has been hot. The water temperature has definitely come up. Down around Shell Knob, Campbell Point here, we've been sitting in the mid 80s and upper 80s. Really, I was up in Kings River last week, and it was nearly 89 degrees in the evening, and so it's hot. Come nightfall, it ends up dropping back to about 85 or so. So definitely, two things are going on. First off, the water's getting hot. Second off, they're shutting down the current, and that definitely, is going to affect the fishing. When they're running current, those fish definitely want to relate to points where the current's rolling over the point, and they like to sit there and ambush those. They also like the bluff ends and stuff. As that current flows by, they can pick up bait really easily. When they shut that current down, it becomes a little bit more challenging for those fish to find the current. And so what they'll do is they'll start setting up in some brush piles. Bluff ends will still play a game, but and points still playing that, but it's just not as easy to position those fish. So keep that in mind as you're going out. No current equals a little bit, I don't know, I think it's a little more challenging bite, but then in the same note, it can be even better. Crappie, I got to go crappie fishing last night. Took my two kids out crappie fishing, and holy smokes was it fun. I had been seeing a lot on live scope during my bass fishing tournaments. If we got around any sort of dock that had a light on the deep end of it, it seemed like there were quite a few crappie there. And honestly, I've been throwing a swim bait in there, like 3.8 Berkeley, I think speed shad, and I've been throwing those underneath those lights, looking for some fat Kentuckies to catch for the for the tournaments. And what I've been catching is these giant crappie. So came down here camping last night, and I said, hey, we're going out, we're going to catch some crappie. And so anyhow, we went to these deep docks that we've been seeing between Shell Knob and Campbell Point. And oh man, it was pretty good. I fished an hour. The kids did not want to fish very long, and so we fished an hour, and I think we brought back 6 crappie between 11 and 14 inches. We had 2 white bass, and here comes the fire, or the smoke from the campfire. So anyhow, but we had 6 crappie. We had 2 giant white bass, and we did catch a few Kentuckies as well. And throwing a little, it's a crappie kicker, but Bobby Garland makes these two just a little short. I think it's a 2.5 inch or 2 inch. I wish I could tell you what those things are. It was monkey milk color, and they don't have any sort of swimming tail on them. It's just a straight pointy tail. Those things work great. I was rigging that up on about I think it was an 1/8 ounce head. You could even go 1/16 ounce head. And those crappie were under those lights. They started at about 10 feet deep and went as deep as 20 feet under those deep lights. And I would get. We tried fishing in the front of the docks, throwing straight to the straight to the light. That's kind of the easiest way to not ever hang a cable. And we did catch some there, but it seemed like really if you were going to get bit, it was directly under the light. And so what we ended up doing is going to the side of the dock and throwing up and reeling it across right parallel with the end of that dock. And that seemed to be the ticket to catch just get more efficient bites. And so, if you're crappie fishing, come out here and hit some of those deep lights. It's a blast. I mean, we had a lot of fun, and the kids enjoyed catching a few, and then they went to sleep. So anyhow, bass bite right now. We're still on some pretty good fish, and it's challenging to figure out where are the better fish at. And I guess it's important to note, if you're fishing at night, which this time of year with as hot as it is, you either got to go out first thing in the morning or you've got to go out at night or late evening. And we've been fishing mostly late evening, so this report is mainly focused on the nighttime and the late evening. And I've not really been getting much of a topwater bite right now. I'm sure you can, but we have seen a few surfacing. When I've seen them surface, though, they just come up for a few seconds and kind of tell you where they're at. You can get you can either cast that direction, or if you have live scope, you can look that direction. And there is quite a few Kentuckys that are out there chasing shad balls, and those seem to be main lake gravel points, especially near areas that the gravel points, I call them a roll off, where they roll off deep. They've been staying pretty shallow, and those points will roll off into deeper water. Been seeing several schools of 8 or 10 fish in those, just harassing those balls of shad. So if you can find that, throw a swim bait in there. I mean, I think a week ago we right after the fishing report, partner and I found a pod of those, and I bet we caught 10 or 12 of them on a little swim bait in 15 minutes. And then they were all 13 to 14 and a half inches, and so we left them. It was a tournament, and that wasn't going to do us any good. But I told him, I said, we got to get back here and make another video on this, because this is a blast, but haven't had a chance to do that. But anyhow, that there are a lot of fish to be caught. If you're coming out to catch fish and it's daytime, check those long gravel points. A lot of times you can see those fish, but a lot of times they get stuck right down on the bottom. And so unless they come up to feed, you might idle right over them with your electronics and not see them. So be careful about that. They're usually out there, and they're usually going to be sitting in that 15 to 25 foot range, just waiting for something to come by to eat. So keep that in mind. And a swim bait is about the perfect thing to throw on that area, because that's what they're looking to eat. And so as far as the better fish, we're still finding them on really steeper banks, anything from like bluff cuts to bluff ends. And we've even found quite a few where the bluff basically turns into a gravel point, but it has to have deep water access. And I've been saying that for 2-3 weeks now. The better fish they've got to have that deep water access. We did finally, I've been talking about conservation brush piles, and we've been catching a lot of little fish. We finally found a couple good fish on some conservation brush piles. The ironic thing is, when I looked at the conservation brush pile, it had a few crappie on it and a few small Kentuckys over the top of it. I threw in there, and I think I caught 3 or 4 Kentuckys in a row on a Chomper's 5/8 ounce brush jig, and green pumpkin, purple flake. And while I was throwing right in the middle of the brush pile, my partner threw a 10-inch plum worm on the outside edges of it. He caught a 3-pounder, and so that kind of got me looking around. And sure enough, it seemed like there was a little spot about 15 feet off the edge of that, right on the edge of the ledge where it dropped off into deeper water, that there was a pretty good group of fish. I mean, they literally were hugged tight to the bottom, but you'd see them come, on the live scope, you'd see them pick up about a foot off the bottom and then just disappear back into the bottom. And so we got to throw into that exact spot. We were spot locked and threw into there, and I think we ended up catching 3 3-pounders off that. Almost back to back, and just right there next to that brush pile. But it was a brush pile on a bluff end, so it was near deep water, but it was sitting up on the top flat. So that's going to kind of help you out when you're looking for those better fish. And if you're coming down here to day fish, and you're going out in the morning, I honestly would highly recommend you get a drop shot. Get the Chomper's brown purple laminate 4-inch worm. There's plenty of others that'll work, but I'm telling you that a friend of mine told me one time it's the only drop shot you need, and he isn't too far from right. I mean, I like carrying about 2 colors, brown purple laminate and then a shad color. And gosh, if you have those 2 things, you're in good shape. So take a brown purple laminate drop shot rig, rig you a little tubular drop shot weight about 1.5 foot under it, and either get on, there's 2 places that you're going to catch fish. If you're just learning to drop shot, I would go to a bridge piling. Go to the Kimberling City bridge pilings, go to the Shell Knob bridge pilings, go to the Eagle Rock bridge pilings, go to Long Creek bridge pilings. There's always groups of fish on those. If you know how to use your electronics, try to get that thing down about 15 feet. If you don't know how to use your electronics, and believe me, there's plenty of you guys that don't or don't even have them, that's okay. Drop about a rod length deal of line out. That's going to be about 7 foot. Let that sink till you're, and hold that up till it's just touching the water, and then let it sink until your rod tip's just about to the water, and then pick your rod tip back up. That's another 7 feet. Now you're going to be 14 feet deep when your rod tip hits the water again. Pull it up one more time, and you're talking about 21 feet. So, that's the old school way of doing it. That's the way we used to do that, to know how deep we were letting our bait go. And that'll maybe help some of you guys out to know, how deep am I fishing. And if you don't get bit there, change it another 4 feet and pay attention. That's the other thing that'll help you with your fishing. Pay attention to where did you get that bite? How deep were you when you got that bite? You're going to have great luck. The point fishing is a little more challenging, or the brush pile fishing can be a little more challenging, just depending on how good you are with your electronics. But I'm telling you, you're going to catch some fish out there. Table Rock Lake is doing great right now, and hope you get a chance to get out this weekend, catch some fish, and man, it's fun. So y'all just keep after it, and thank you guys for subscribing. If you hadn't subscribed, hit that little subscribe button and hit the like button, and we do appreciate you guys' comments. I've actually been having quite a few people come up and say, hey man, thanks for doing these, and I appreciate you guys doing that. And hope you guys have a fun weekend. We're gonna have fun down here, just chilling and relaxing at the old Campbell Point campground. And until next week, man, have a great time, keep your lines tight, and take a kid fishing.